That particular Clash of Chaos finale was perhaps the most embarrassing moment of my entire time at Aretuza, but not the most upsetting, unfortunately. Well, that's a bit of foreshadowing. I faced a short-statured boy called Geryon, whose personality I could only describe as unctuous. I can't recall seeing that self-assured smirk of his ever leaving his face, not even for a single moment. Of course, of all the boys I could have lost to, it just had to be him. I had been trained extensively in the weeks leading to the clash by Clara herself, which comprised daily one-on-one sessions in addition to the regular syllabus. Even Yana volunteered to help me prepare when Clara had other matters to attend to. I do not wish Aretuza's victress to make a fool of the school she represents. She had told me in a tone I had not yet witnessed from her, encouraging and friendly almost. After her anger had subsided, or diminished at least, she was actually helpful and dedicated much of her free time. But all the advice and extra help did little to prepare me for what the showdown that awaited. Geryon, much to the surprise of everyone it would seem, used magic that hadn't yet reared its head in any of the former games. It turned out he was a natural when it came to constructing illusions and used tricks of the eye to completely throw me off my game. Within moments of the duel starting, I was presented with various copies of Geryon, at least a dozen. Sounds familiar, a dozen mages, huh? I've seen that somewhere recently. And had precisely no idea which was the real one. I stood there in front of a crowd of onlookers from Aretuza and Banard, absolutely and utterly bamboozled. My eyes flickered back and forth between numerous faces, all with the exact same conceited grin, and all with that exact same laugh which echoed around me, mocking as I attacked and missed time and time again, hopelessly unable to locate the correct Geryon. I soon tired, drained of energy and presented myself as an easy target for the boy, and with a quick burst of air the real Geryon sent me flying into a stone column, crushing the breath from my lungs and rendered me helpless. And well, that was that. Geryon was crowned champion, Banard won the Clash of Chaos by a trifling margin, and I was left to wallow in self-pity, flustered, heartbroken, and utterly ashamed of myself. Always expect the unexpected. The only words ever exchanged between Geryon and me. He had said them whilst helping me up after the contest, his lip curled on one side with an eyebrow raised in self-assured smugness. I didn't care much for the words at the time, and I still don't. I mean, how can one prepare for the unknown? It makes no sense. Although, perhaps I really shouldn't have been so cocksure before the duel. Maybe that's what he meant. Considering his own demeanour, that would have been terribly ironic. I didn't attend the post-tournament feast that night. I was too crestfallen, so I hid away in my chambers sulking. The thought of facing a room full of jeering Banard boys made me anxious and queasy, but the idea of facing a room full of the peers I'd let down made me feel abominable. After the closing ceremony, I had also avoided Aunt Aurora, terrified of what she might say to me. I imagined the tone she would take. I'm not upset, dear Alissa. I'm just disappointed. The thought filled me to the brim with dread. She was actually far more comforting when we finally spoke. Situations like this are often much worse in the mind than in reality, I've realised. Even though Kalena, I later found out, had taken a fancy to one of the Banard students, she dropped her pursuit of courtship the moment she realised I hadn't shown up to the celebrations. Instead, she found where I was moping and spent most of the evening comforting me. Well, at first she did, but then my incessant huffing frustrated to the point where she did something completely unexpected. She chastised me. Oh, grow up, you silly thing. Did your aunt never tell you that you can't be the best at everything in life? Heck, most don't even get to be the best at one thing. You're skilled beyond your years, I'll give you that. You're intelligent and determined, and you know a lot about the world, about magic. But you're far too vainglorious, and dare I say it, entitled. The world, it might shock you to discover, doesn't revolve around you. For a moment, just one moment, stop trying to impress, to prove your worth to everyone, and have a go at just, well, try and enjoy yourself. Because all of the greatness and accolades in the world don't mean a damn thing if you're not happy. This was the first time I'd ever been taken aback by something Kalena had said, and I never, ever expected to receive any sort of wisdom from her. But there it was, undeniably clear. After giving me a moment to process her chiding, she convinced me to accompany her down to the hall, where the celebrations were still in full swing. She was uncharacteristically persuasive, and so I followed her lead without a second thought. And you know what? No one mocked me. No one blamed me, and no one was upset, except for me initially. I actually ended up having one of the best nights of my life. Little did I know back then, but that chat with Kalena was a turning point for me. And for the first time ever, I really, truly thought about who I was and, more importantly, who I actually wanted to be, regardless of others' expectation. For the first time, I questioned my destiny.